Hi, my name is Magnus Berglund, and I'm responsible for accessibility or disability questions for all Scandic hotel. And I'm going to start telling a little about me. Normally I have always a dog with me, so everyone asking for the dog, so I don't need to tell about the dog, but I'm going to do, I have a dog, service dog that normally with me because I have a problem with my hands, my legs. And she trained to carry my computer and get my clothes in the morning. So in the morning to jump up in the bed and give me all my clothes I need in the morning. And that's going very fast because she knows that faster I get out of bed, faster she gets breakfast. So that's going very fast, sometimes too fast. That's why I always have this on because it's going too fast, so I never have a really good, clean shirt. So, why is a hotel chain like Scandic working with disability questions? I hope I'm going to give you that answer in the next 45 minutes. But myself, I worked in the hotel business for over 12 years before I was sick for the third time in '99. And I thought I know everything about hotel business. If you ask me '99 what I know about hotel business, I would say I know the most. Because I've traveled extremely much when I was a little kid. So I really thought I know very much about that. And then I got sick, and then I had really a problem to walk. So I didn't sit in a wheelchair, but I could walk about 10-15 meters. And I need help. And then I was going from Stockholm to Copenhagen with a plane because I was going to a wedding, 2002. And I was going into the airport and checking what sort of help can I get? What do they have for me as a customer in the airport? There are really good things that I could get assistant, I could get wheelchair, I could get all the support I needed. Then I was going into lots of hotel chains, checking what do you got for me? So I have a problem to stand up. Nothing. Couldn't find any information. I could find one place, they had one hotel, they have a symbol with a wheelchair, but I didn't see the wheelchair, so that was nothing for me. And it didn't said what it was. The only thing I really need was a chair to sit in the shower. So I couldn't get the information, so I booked it off. But if I wanted on the same hotels in Malmö, if I wanted to know where to go and play golf, no problem. That they had on the website. Or the nearest theater or movie, yeah, they had that on the website. That was no different if you're going in, checking in all the hotels in Europe. That's about the same. So I was contacting Scandic Hotel, that I know them, and tell them that if we starting working with disability questions, we're going to get more guests. That was really the approach, nothing else. The first I was doing was I was renting free wheelchair because we didn't know how to do this. So the first we did rent free wheelchair and let everyone in the head office, starting with the CEO, sitting in a wheelchair for 2 hours. And we didn't check if you had meetings or you're going to meet people or something like that. We are checking, here's you 2 hours, here your 2 hours, here your 2 hours. So if you had a meeting, you need to go down with your wheelchair down. The CEO was going down to the reception and meet people. Said, oh, have you accent? No, this might work for 2 hours, so join me. So people take it really serious, but at the same time, they have real fun. But, I mean, wheelchair is just one small part of disability. Just one real small part. But it's an extremely good way to get to discussion. Everyone come and told me that mine is no fun. I get my wheelchair between 11 and 1. I couldn't get out from the head office over 2 rows into the restaurant, so I didn't get any lunch. But give me a week, I'm going to coming over that, because you don't learn to go in a wheelchair for 2 hours. And then they said, yeah, I met lots of people that sit in a wheelchair and drive a car. So if I now need to sit in a wheelchair, I can drive a car to my work. I can coming into the elevator. Give me a week, I'm coming over to the restaurant. And I can have a table that going up and down. But in our head office, this is really scary, because in our head office we had 6 handicap toilets built, 6. It's a big office. And no one of 150 people could close the door. And it's built after all law or regulation. The same when I was on the EU here in March, I found 7 handicap toilets in the new building, EU building, you can't close. Same here in this hotel. You can't close the handicap toilet. Do you know why? The handicap toilet costs you more to build because it's big and things like that, and they follow all the laws, but you can't close it. I'm going to show you. Because we are so focused about disability costs money. I can show you how it's not cost money, really. No, that's door, no. You open the door like this, then you're going in a wheelchair. How do you reach this? Can someone tell me when you are wheelchair here and reach that, and the door is open? Because it don't close on itself, so you can't close it. And it costs, what? Yeah, but no, yeah, but in many you don't have the button. So how do you close it? Yeah, you just need a railing under here. That's costing 20 euro. So build a handicap toilet for maybe 10,000 euro, but you can't close it because you're missing the last 10 euro. Then I was in Brussels. That's the most beautiful, and this had happened in airports, this had happened to me in Norway, but now I'm just taking up Brussels like an example. And I was in this beautiful handicap toilet. I mean, it was big, wonderful. They even have painting on the walls, and I was checking out the painting up here. I mean, they're thinking about everything. So, I need that, sorry. I'm really thinking about everything. So, when I was sitting in the handicap toilet, like this, then they're thinking about everything, because they're thinking so much. So you need to take the toilet paper, you need to go up, go on 1.5 meters to the wall, take the toilet paper, and go back. And that could happen in a Scandic hotel 2003, or I know it's happened in 2003, because we didn't know about all these things. And I can promise you all here, how many of you have been on a handicap toilet any time in your life? Okay, could you take the toilet paper there? Could you take, I mean, if you're sitting wheelchair? Could you reach the soap? Maybe not, because it's too up here. So I always tell you, if you're sitting wheelchair, you need to have jeans, because you always need to do like this, because it's too up here. And you don't say anyone. You don't tell anyone about this, they need to fix it. But I promise you, if you was coming in here and the lamp was broken, you had told someone. If the lamp was broken outside, you had told someone. I was in the lounge in SAS lounge in Scandic Copenhagen. I was in there and I told them you can't close it. Oh, we didn't know about that. Next day they fixed it. They had lots of people and we or something like that, but no one had told them. So what we understand in Scandic, we need education. We need to educate all the team members about disability questions. And I'm just going to show you a few slides about the education we're doing for all our team members. And it's the GM that is responsible to do that, but I'm around and do it to all the new hotels. Our goal is to be obvious choice for people with disability in the organization, but that is not our goal. We have another goal. My goal is we're not going to have any disabled people in Scandic hotels. That is my goal. No disabled people in Scandic hotels, only guests. You're only a guest. And I can promise you, when I'm coming with my steak or my dog, it's so fast. If I go on air, train, plane, they get me. I'm disabled. I'm not a guest. Sorry, I paid. I'm a guest. But we are so focused about disability, so we're forgetting that I'm a guest. I'm going to take one more story. I was invited, so I was speaking in Geneva on the United Nations. The big top meeting was there and speaking, and everything was going extremely good. And after that, I was going out to the airport. Then I come with my stick and my dog and everything, and I check in. And because of my legs and all that, I always go in business, so I have expensive ticket. I'm coming to the airport and I want to check in, and I don't feel disabled. I don't feel disabled anyway. And I had a good speak, everything was good, and was pressed. Everything was really good. And I was really good mood when I'm coming out to the airport, really good mood. Then I'm coming out and then I check in. Hi, Magnus Berglund, I want to check in. Yeah. And you are disabled. Yes, I'm going to check in. Yeah. Do you need any handicap helping aid? No, it's okay. I fix everything, no problem. You sure you don't need any helping handicap assistant? No, I don't need any helping assistant. Thank you very much. Good. Then I'm going over. Yeah, but the security saw that. Good. Then I go over to security. One handicap, let him go forward. It was like a dead man walking like that. So it was really, yeah. Before I was coming to the airplane, 7 times they told me that I was handicapped. Then I was sitting on the plane. This is good. I was sitting on the plane. I'm sitting. Then I'm hearing the person telling the captain, Yeah, we have 148 people and 1 handicap on the plane. I really feel handicapped. I was so handicapped when I was sitting on that plane, thinking, what have I done, really? In the best way was, then this person, she's extremely nice. I mean, really nice. I'm going to, if you just sit there, and you or me, and you sit there, she coming over like this. How are you? Do you need any support? I think that's wonderful service if they do that for everyone. If they do it for everyone, I love it. But they tried me like a kid, and I was feeling, and the big thing is, did they do that because they didn't like me? No. They didn't do that because they didn't like me. They really tried to do the best, but it's getting so wrong. Because they didn't treat me as a guest. They treat me as a disabled person. And that's really our big problem in the whole tourist sector. But we are so afraid to see me as a guest. So that's why we're not going to have any disabled people on Scandic. We're only going to have a guest. That is our goal. I mean, if you're looking in the EU, this question is coming extremely much more. I have working with this in 2003. Then the last 2 years, you're seeing extremely much more. We have getting extremely much more business just because we're working with disability questions. I even have, I mean, we are in 9 countries. I have from other governments in other countries that call us and ask which hotel they can book in the conference just because they need, in the new laws, have it more acceptable. Conference need to be acceptable for all. That's something that's coming extremely much more. And if you want EU money, then the conference need to be acceptable for all if you're looking in the new regulation. So that's something that's coming. But on the same time, you have people that starting working that have some sort of disability. It's coming much out on the market. So one person in a wheelchair can decide over a whole conference for 400 people that's going to come. I mean, if you don't come into that hotel, yeah, then you change the hotel. So one person with some sort of disability can decide where a whole conference is coming. And we're seeing lots of more in the Nordic, lots of more companies that's really working with disability questions that want conference that is acceptable for all. It need to be here in Loop in the conference room and things like that. And that we see in organizations too. Do you know how many disabled people we have in Europe? You have 50 million people with some sort of disability in Europe. You have 2.5 million in the Nordic. You have 1 million people in Sweden. But that's very interesting. 1 million people. How do you count that? That's 10%. How do you count 1 million people with disability? Yeah, but that's very interesting because they don't count in 1.1 million that don't hear so well. Because if you have a hearing advisor, then that's not a disability. You don't count in everyone that have a hand problem or everyone that have allergic or people over 65 because then you're just old. If you look in the number that Great Britain Visitor Board have presented, that is about 25% of the population have some sort of disability. So 50 million, that's very little. And if you're looking in Europe, it's the tourist sector is coming much more. It's more important for Europe. How are we going to fix it? I mean, really, who is spending most money on leisure? Who is spending most money on leisure? Is it young people? No. If it's older people? Yes. In the United States, they're standing for 80% of the money. In Europe, 50% of the money. In Great Britain, 55% of the money. And that's people over 65 years old. And 51% of them have some sort of disability. My parents, they are 75 years old. And they told me last week the plan they have for all the things they're going to do when they're getting old. They didn't say like a joke. They really are serious. They have a big plan. They're going to do all the things they need to do when they're getting old, when they have the time. And they are 75 years old. And the oldest couple I have met was an American couple, was 91 years old, and they was in Finland. And they was going Europe around for 3 months. And I asked him, how is it going? I mean, you're little old. And the guy was really, we're not old, we're going to die soon, so we travel so much we can. And and I was going, yeah, a little slow, but we're getting forward. And the most nice thing was, Then he told me, yeah, the big problem in Europe is to buy luxury. What? Yeah, to buy luxury. Yeah, and what do you mean? Yeah, now we are here in this hotel in Finland. It's just 25 minutes with the taxi out to the airport. But my wife, she said she wants a helicopter. Because we have sold our house, everything. We don't know if we're going to die tomorrow or next week. So we're going to burn the money. And that's extremely different things. People didn't think in that way for 10 years ago. For 20 years ago, you could give all the money to organization if you didn't have any kids. And about today, all the people, they burn the money. And how is everyone is going to go around? I mean, if you already now have 50% of the population that's burning most money on leisure, then that's a big thing. We have a big problem in Europe. I mean, if you look in the United States, they have a law than I think 93, the DDA Act. So there is much more, if you go into society, it's much more accessible. I mean, all the buses, if you are in New York, in the back, you can come in with a wheelchair and things like that. So you have much more there than you have in Europe. But the big thing here is I'm thinking 70% of all disability you can't see. 70%. You don't know if a team, if your friend or team member or things like that have some sort of disability. You can't see. In 1 hour hotel was coming a guest, and he was coming down and said to reception, "Sorry, I got the wrong room." "Oh, you got the wrong room? I'm so sorry." "Yeah, I got a big suite." "Yeah, but you travel so much, so I upgrade you." "Yeah, that's very nice, thank you, but can I get a share in the shower?" "Yeah, sure, I can fix that." "Yeah, because I had booked a more acceptable, friendly room so I can sit down in the shower." And he was walking like this. And the receptionist said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't thought you need that." "Yes, I understand that, but when I go in the shower, I take off my leg." You couldn't see that. The small things you can't see, and I think that's really good, interesting things. So which of these people have a disability? I mean, really, we don't know. Everyone could be blind, everyone could be deaf, or have diabetes or something like that. You don't know. When you speak about disability, you normally speak about visual implant or hearing implant or allergic, or you have some moving problem that's meaning that you need, like me, something to help you to walk more than 100 meters. I mean, many people I have met that sit in a wheelchair don't mean that they're paralyzed legs. Maybe they can go on 5 meters, 10 meters, so it's very different. Disability is extremely different. Scandic, you are not disabled. Scandic, you are a guest. We include guests, we not exclude guests. Yeah, but sorry, I haven't met any company that's saying we are excluding guests. I haven't met that company yet. But did we do that? Yeah, but 2002, you couldn't take a cup of coffee if you're sitting in a wheelchair in a Scandic hotel because we have built the cup of coffee up here. Yeah, so then we have excluded, but we didn't know about it. And I think that's the best lesson. We didn't know about all the things that we learn when we are going around with a wheelchair in all our hotels. Then we're learning lots of things. How many of you are working in an office here? Please put up your hand. Can you take a cup of coffee if you're sitting in a wheelchair in your coffee break room, or do you need asking for help? Yeah, and that's a really big problem. Yes, because you are going to be exactly the same person. If you have an accident tomorrow and need to sit in a wheelchair, sorry, that could happen. But you're still going to be exactly the same person. Only difference is you have a problem with your legs. But you can make in the same work, the same thing you're doing today than tomorrow. And I think that's a good thing. So, I mean, we have learned a lot. Sure, we have excluded people, but we didn't know about that. And I think that's a big lesson we have learned in Scandic. How do we treat our disabled guests? I treat all the guests alike. This is a word I can't say, but really that's bullshit. We don't do that in society. We really don't do that. I can promise you. Can I get your help? Yes? Yep. Can you just come over and say hi to me? We have never met. I want to show you one thing here. Yes, come on, here. Hi, Magnus. Thank you. Hi. And now we do it again. If you stand here. No. Yeah, stand here. Just going to do one thing. This arm back here, so she don't have an arm. Yeah, you have legs and everything like that. Now, I have never met you. We're coming over. Hi, Magnus. Oh, hi, hello. Magnus. Thank you. I mean, the big thing is, for me, first, I listen to the name. Now, I didn't listen. I just checking she don't have an arm. I mean, she's still the same person, but not in my head. She's not. And that's the big thing in all the tourist sector. We can't focus on that. We need to focus on the guest and not on that. And that's really a big thing when we're working with this. That's why we're education in this question in all the things we're doing, all the team members. In 1 hour hotel was coming in a lady in a wheelchair. It was a conference. And when the conference was done, she was going out to her car, and she was only no one else in the conference room, just her. So the person that working in the hotel was coming over and said, "Can I help you with your bag?" and things like that out to the bag, out to the car. "Yes, please, thank you very much." "Oh, thank you." She was so happy, so she even sent flowers to the hotel. 2 weeks later, was coming a man, sitting in a wheelchair, and I mean, everything the first time had been wonderful. All things are going good. The second time now was a man in a wheelchair. And this man, she was coming over, the same person, asking, "Can I help you anything with your wheelchair out to the car or bags and all that?" "You should not help me just because I'm sitting in a wheelchair." So it was really, really angry, really rude. So she told me, "I'm not going to help anyone more in a wheelchair, forget that." How many of you have met a disabled person that have been rude to you? Please put up your hand. You can't count me in. 1, 2, that's nothing. How many of you have met a not a disabled person, healthy person, normal person, or what you want to call it, that have been rude to you? Please put up your hand. Do you now understand why I don't have any friends that is healthy? All my friends is disabled? Really? I mean, just because I'm disabled, if I look hearing here now, so I always need to smile. I can never have a bad day. I haven't met that person yet, but I can never have a bad day. I always need to smile. I mean, just because I have a problem with my legs, don't mean that I always need to smile. I can have a bad day. I can be rude. But that's really the big thing. So should she help or not? I mean, I told all our team members that you always, if you're thinking anyone needs your help, we're working with service. That's our job. So then we always should ask. If you're thinking that someone in a wheelchair or someone coming in with 2 kids or older, anyone needs our support, is our job. So if anyone tells us that is rude, sorry, I just tried to do my job, nothing else. So we try to not do a big thing about it, because it's just a guest. And that's really the big thing. But this is so interesting because we always need to speak about that. And we're taking up this when we have our education with all our team members. I mean, where is all this coming from? Why are we seeing so different about disability and things like that? Yeah, sure, that's because how we grow up. Really, if you're coming back, I mean, when I was little, I couldn't watch don't look, if someone in a wheelchair and things like that, that's a big thing. But we don't do that for our kids now. No. I was on the beach this year and waiting for some friends, and I was sitting down there and I had my stick like that. Then it's coming a little kid, 5 years old, and taking my stick. And I said, "You can't take my stick." "Yes, I'm going to play with that. I'm going to take it out when I'm swimming." "No, you can't take my stick, I promise you. I need a stick." "No, you don't need a stick." "Yes, I'm sure I need a stick." "No, my mother told me that it's only old people that have sticks." And he got to work in Scandic in 15 years. I have a big problem, because it's so big thing how we treat our kids and how we're speaking about these things, because this is a big thing in all the society. Things that we discuss in it more is, I mean, disabled people with the guide dog is allowed in all our hotel, things like that, but it's small things. Have you ever thinking about why is anyone tell you, "Sorry, I didn't hear what you're saying"? Why is someone tell you that? Is it because you may be speaking too fast? Or the person maybe is deaf or have a hearing device in your ear, you can't see that. And if a woman, you can't see it. And maybe you have just, when you speak and take your head that way or that way. It's small thing that we don't think about. So many times I'm checking into a hotel and they say, "Hi, how are you? Yeah, Miss Berglund. Yeah, and your room number is..." Small things, you can't hear that. That's small things that you can't hear. You don't think about it. That's things you always think. Or in the restaurant, "Yeah, anything you want to drink?" Or in the bar. You don't know who don't have a hearing device. I mean, my best friend, she was deaf in her ear for 2 years, and after that she got her hearing device. I said, "Why haven't you told me that you couldn't hear?" "Magnus, you're speaking so much." So when I didn't want to hear you, I just sitting on the other way on the sofa, and they just smile. I think it was funny. And that's true. That's really true. So think about, just in the Nordic, we have over 2.5 million people that don't hear so well. You have over 6 million people in Great Britain that don't hear so well. You have over 50 million people in Europe that don't hear so well. That we don't see that as a disability. You don't know. And I think that's a really good lesson for us. Anyone can have a bad day, even the disabled person, not me, but everyone else. We were seeing when we don't own our hotels, we rent our hotels. And we were seeing that it's extremely big difference with the laws. And in some countries, just a recommendation, what you should do or not do. And no one had about this small things that closing the handicap toilet. No one had up that or the small things. There was no list on something like that. So I was around and had workshop with lots of disability organizations in Europe. And on the same time was meeting lots of guests that living in our hotel that have some sort of disability. And we were working over 1 year to taking forward our own Scandic accessibility standard. So if we're taking over a hotel from competition, we're going in and do 80 points directly. And the other is not 90, that's wrong. The other is 110 points. The other points is mandatory when we're building new hotel or renovation. So if we renovation, like example, the reception, one part need to be lower so you can check in with a wheelchair. So all the new hotels we're building, one part of the reception is lower so you can check in. It's small things. Then we say in disability things that cost money. It don't need to cost money. It's our way to thinking and change it. It don't cost us any more money. Sometimes it's less. It's cheaper to build a reception that is lower, one part than entire. It don't cost us any more money. And then many times if I bank around, I always come over with my stick. And then maybe come somewhere, check in and things like that. And I put my stick here and it's fall down. We have started with just clip like that, stick holder, costing less than €1. And the best thing is people don't use it for sticks. People use it for umbrellas. Or all the ladies putting their handbags over that. Good. That's exactly what we want. Then we have a hearing loop in the reception, in all our reception in Scandic. We have ugly blue alarm clock. Because when we was doing this education, one team member called me and asked, how is my mother going to wake up? Because, that I told you, we have 2.5 million people just in the Nordic. There we have over 130 hotels that don't hear so well. How should they wake up? And how should they hearing the fire alarm? So we was building our own alarm clock. It's a blue, ugly alarm clock with a vibration that you're putting under the pillow. So when you're going up, 7 o'clock, it starts a vibration. But at the same time, this is hearing the fire alarm. So that's a complement to the fire alarm too. So is the fire alarm going? So that's starting. Then someone, yeah, but is that going exactly when I'm going up? Yeah, then you need to go up anyway. So, so we have followed the hotel all the way. The handicap toilets, we're checking all the handicap toilet. We have computer desk. Is one part should be lower. It's okay with one part higher, but always one part lower. So you can come in with a wheelchair around under. Everything we're going around all the hotel. And I don't do that. That's the team member in the hotel is responsible to do that. Because if I do that, they don't know anything about it when I'm going. That's They are responsible to fill it in, work with it, do the education every year, and then send it to a database that I have. So I know exactly what all the hotel doing. So that's how we're working with it. Then we have handicap rooms. When we build new handicap rooms, they are the best rooms in the hotel. So many times I've been around when I was living in lots of luxury hotels in Europe, and I said, yeah, and I want a handicap room. Then I got a room that looking, like hospital. And I was in London, and they want 200 pounds for that. It's cheaper for me to going into the hospital in Sweden. And I got a more beautiful room in Sweden in the hospital room than I get in the hotel. Yeah, but and then I said, yeah, but it's not beautiful. Yeah, but it's working. We didn't think about that in the hotel business. We are thinking, yeah, it's working. Yeah, but how about design? So now we're trying to design, that's where we are first. We're designing our new hotel, so our handicap room or more accessible rooms that we call them are the most beautiful rooms. We have beds that are going up and down like that, so we have lots of people that are coming in, can I have the room with the bed? They don't know that this is a handicap room. Because the arms that we're having, like here, with the toilet and all that we have, so we take them away. The chair to sit in the shower, we take away. So if you book the room that you said you need it, then we put it in. If you don't book the room, then it's a normal room. Then it's a superior, wonderful room. That's how we work with it. So we have this room now like an upgrade room, because they are most popular room, and they don't cost us any more to build. So that's how we're trying to do with all the standards. How many of you are using, this is private, but I'm going to ask it anyway, how many of you are using helping aid, like this, helping aid every day? Okay, I have checked in the lexicon. Do you know what helping aid is? Helping aid is, this is the old lexicon, so it's not this, it's standing for handicap. It's saying that helping aid is something that first time was made for a handicapped person. So the first time they was made in a wheelchair was for a person who couldn't walk. The first time they was doing the remote for the TV was made for a woman that was paralyzed. She couldn't get out of the bed. So I don't want you to use tonight the remote for the TV, because you don't need it. Because you can going up to the TV like this, push, then going back, and do that 5-6 times and think about me tonight. Because you're not allowed to do that, because that's helping aid. In the lexicon, it was only built for that. Yeah, sure. And now we're going into the bathroom. In the bathroom, do you have things like that, or do you have this, one for blue and one for red? Do you have? Because many times you have many times I see like this, because that's only for rheumatic people who was in hospital. So stop with that. That's only for rheumatic people in hospital. How many of you are driving car here? I hope you lock it up like this, so don't push, because that's only for people in wheelchair. Volvo have a, so they was the only one that built that. Was only for people in wheelchair. I think it was to 91 or something like that. Was the only one that had it. And I can go on with so many things that you don't think about, that the first time was only built for a person that was disabled. Why do I tell you that? Yes, because I want to go back to our standard. Everything we're doing in Scandic is comfort for everyone. It's comfort for all our guests. The beds we have that are going up and down, everyone loves them. Everyone likes them. But it's only 1% that really need them. That we have a desk that isn't that high for the computer. Everyone can sit down, but it's necessary for 1% to use it. So things that is necessary for some person is comfort for everyone else. Because we don't work with disability question, I'm saying in Scandic. We don't really work, we don't building hospitals and like that. We working so it's going to be good and nice and designed for all in our hotel. That's really our goal. That's really need to see in that way. Because you're not going to listen to me. You're going to use the remote for the TV tonight anyway. That I can promise you. You don't need it, but you're going to use it because it's very comfort. And I love my remote for my TV. And when I have a problem to go up my sofa, I always call my dog that getting my remote. So that's a good thing. She get my remote and my telephone, and I have friends that train her to get me a beer in the fridge. that's a picture on. So simple everyday things can easily become major obstacles if we don't think about that, what we're doing all the time. And we don't need to waiting just because, yeah, we're going to do that in that building when we do renovation. But there's so many small things that you can do already today that don't cost money. And the big thing is to change your way to thinking. I can promise you. If I come into, I mean, even think if I come into reception if I come to BBC or to bank, if you just have a chair that I can sit near, then I'm happy. It's small things that can make me happy. All the things, right? I mean, I don't go around all the hotel and look how they look like. Actually, that we're trying to do here in Scandic is to put in disability question in everything we're doing. Everything from when we build new hotels or renovation them, or in the education, we have disability in, or in our meeting, or in our breakfast. We have special bread and breakfast normally, so you don't need to ask for it. So everything we're doing, we're trying to put in. And I got so many questions from the head office all the time, which soap should we have in the hotel? Or which telephone is best for the most guests? So we're trying to thinking all the time, even if we can't do it, we're always trying to think, yeah, what can we do here? We could buy a new telephone. Which telephone do we think is best for most guests? Then we maybe take a decision that, yeah, this is good for 99% of them. We can't do it 100%, but we're always trying to see in everything we're doing. And that's really the big thing. We are the first hotel chain in the world that have not only the standard and education and things like that, but for 2 years ago we was going out, so disability is so different. I need to know something from the hotel, and another person, the wheelchair, need to know something else, or blind or deaf. It's so different. And I know so many people that want to know how many meters is it from the parking into the hotel, because they maybe have MS or something like that. So they can only walk 20 meters, 25 meters. They don't, and they need to know that if they're going to have the wheelchair with them or not. And I know famous, really famous ministers and famous CEOs that call me that are recommendation hotel in all the world. They want to know things like that. And no one really know, because the family is the only one that know that maybe they have some sort of sickness. They may be getting tired and like that. And that's okay. So we are putting up 80 points in all our hotels that we're telling from, if you can click on the handicap parking, we're telling how many meters is it from the handicap parking into the hotel. Is the reception lower? Do we have one part that is lower? That we have here loops that is mandatory, but things like how big is the door into the handicap toilet? How big is the door into the handicap room? How high is the bed? Because it's so different. I thought, stupid I was, I thought that, yeah, but everyone in wheelchair need exactly the same when I was told. So I can have exactly the bed for 48 centimeters or 50. And I get in complaints that people say, yeah, your bed is too high or too low. Yes, that's okay, because it's different. Everyone is different. So that's what we put up. So we have 80 points in all our hotels. And the big thing is, and I know that Expedia, the biggest hotel.com, they was calling me 2 years ago after we had this, and they called me, the CEO of that United States called me and said, yeah, this is good, we're going to copy you. So I started copy also with 10 points, not 80, but 10 points in the United States for all the hotels. That's meaning that, and I love copycats. That's the best, because then you know you have done something right when people want to copy you. So that's very good. We have lots of the hotel chains in the Nordic have bought in the alarm clock that we build. I know the most hotels have that now, and here in Loop something like that. So they copy us what we're doing, and that's allowed. That's really good. So this is my dog down there that carry my computer. And if you're asking my CEO or the last CEO, they always telling one story. They say that they hide the dog and then they get me. So that they need to live with. So yeah, she's the most famous, the most picture, and she's the only dog that have a gold card on Star Alliance. They send me a gold card to the dog because she's traveling most in the world. So that was really shortly what I want to tell you a little how we working with it. Are we done with disability question in Scandic? No, we have extremely much to do. I think if we're looking at Scandic and many other companies, that we know what we need to do. We know about all the questions. We know we need to do education, everything from education for fire to meeting, everything we're doing, we need to put in disability questions, and we know what we need to do. We have a plan for the next 5 years. So that's really thinking is the big between us and many other companies that maybe don't know what they need to do. So that's it. And I have seen that this is much question. I'm going to be next week for the top meeting for EU and speak about that. And United Nations I have been speaking for and like that. So this is a question that's coming extremely much more. And this is the first time I'm here in Tallinn. I've never been here before. Now I have been here for a few hours. I'm going home tonight. Sorry, but I'm going to travel again. But it's very, very nice city. So thank you for me, and I think you're taking over if there's any questions.
Okay, so we have a chance now to thank you for this fantastic presentation. It shows how you can really shows how wide the diversity is. That even within the field of accessibility, you have even such a wide range of things.
Sorry, I'm going to answer. One of the last questions about here to BBC was about disability, and you have done this research so people could put in. That we're not allowed to do in Sweden and Nordic for the computers law. We can't do that. So we don't know really how many disabled people were in our hotel or team members like that, because we're not allowed to have it in the computer. So it's different in Europe, I want to say that. So it's very different how the laws is. And sometimes if we're looking for fire and things like that, many times I want to put in the computer that I have my dog get me out first. But we're not allowed to put that in. So it's different laws in different countries. I wasn't tell. Sorry.
Yes. All right. So, questions? Yes. Please.
I have 2 questions actually.
Yes.
When you talk about disability, I think it's not always a person whose hand or leg has a problem or
It's everything about the
is not working very well, but there are also certain disease like asthma, for example, that really prevents you from walking long distances, climbing up the staircases. Also, when there is something that can cause an allergy, you can have an asthma attack, which can be deadly at times. And are there any such measures like, checking the quality of the detergents, other products that you use in the hotels for these people? And my second question is actually a personal one. I cannot see very clearly if your dog is a golden retriever or a Labrador. What kind of dog is it?
I know. I told you there couldn't come a question about the dog.
Because I have bought a golden retriever puppy for a relative who cannot walk, who uses a wheelchair. Okay. So I was wondering which one is yours.
It's a Labrador. It's a black Labrador.
Yeah, very nice.
And my new dog is training. I was meeting my new dog yesterday for 1 hour, and she's a yellow Labrador. She's 14 months, so And she was like this, and I was thinking, how are you going to work for me? But
thanks for your really interesting and energising presentation.
Thank you.
I was just interested, and it's kind of related to the previous question, thinking about the scope of disability and range of impairments. Do you do anything, take into consideration people with learning disabilities or learning difficulties in terms of the sort of information, perhaps, that you provide about your hotels, how that's presented? Is that covered as well in your standards?
Yeah, we're looking at that all the time and seeing what's. Sometimes we do it, sometimes, but what we're trying to do is always to see how many guesses is that needed.
Right.
So that's. I mean, you can do how much you want. I mean, it's not stuff, but we are looking at that. But I think there was a more big question about that for 10 years than it is today because of the computers. Because it's much easier today to put up so you can read much bigger and things like that. So the computer have done extremely much more. That's really the thing. The thing is, I'm only working really, if you see that, to the guest. That's my job. But because we are working with this, all the hotel now have we taking up how do we do with our team member and how we do work with team members that have some sort of disability. So that's coming on the same time that we didn't know about. So that we really want 2 things on the same time. And that's a good thing. And with the computer, because the computer have done extremely much different. because I had lots more questions about people that couldn't hear or deaf people with more information. But today with the computer, it's much, much easier. So the computer have done lots of new things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And to understand how big it is, I'm going to answer another question, because, you know, sign language is today different than it was 4 years ago. Do you know why? I have a neighbor, and her 2 kids, all in the family was deaf, and she told me that she couldn't speak. She could speak a little. She told me that she now couldn't understand her kids anymore. No, yeah, why can't? No, they have another language because of the mobile phone. Because the mobile phone had a camera, so when they're speaking, many of the sign languages with 2 hands. But now they're holding the telephone with 1 hand, so all the kids is changing the words so it's working with 1 hand. And the old people don't know what they're saying, they told me. So the language is starting to change just because of mobile. So I was thinking, starting using the computer and all the technical we have today, we can't say and come to, no, we can't work with it. Because we can do so much more that don't cost us much more money. That's really a big thing. Any more questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
How much are you working with, or how helpful has been, or has it been helpful or useful, the diversity charter in Sweden that I understand you are also members of as a Scandic Group. What does it give you in Sweden that we are starting up?
I can't say so much about, because that's another person in our company that working with that, because I only working with disability questions and really new. I have been working with them a little time, but not so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know that they are also, Scandic is also a good member, and Sweden has only started it, I think, it's last year or last year. So
and Finland was starting for a few weeks ago, because I was there speaking.
Exactly. So, and now,
we have one person that working with all the diversity environments and things like that. So that we're seeing 2 different things, because I working only with disability. Because disability we see much more. It's just much more how we're building the hotel and education and things like that. But it's at the same time, so is disability is very much about directly to the guest. Yes. What do the guests need to come into the hotel? What do you need to be my guest? It's more directly on that, so we have put it up 2 ways.
Very good.
But I work very closely with them too.
Any more questions?
Then thank you very much for coming here. And if you have no more questions, I'm going to be here today. Thank you.